is praise one. So the praise is one too. Many jugs being poured into a huge basin. All religions, all this singing, one song. The differences are just illusion and vanity. Sunlight looks a little different on this wall than it does on that wall, and a lot different on this other one, but it is still one light. We have borrowed these clothes, these time and space personalities from a light. And when we praise, we are pouring them back in.
Yeah. The reaction on this end was, and wow. Thank you. Gary, would you come up and light the chalice as we join our voices together? Flame of fire, spark of the universe that warmed our ancestral hearth, agent of life and death, symbol of truth and freedom, we strive to understand ourselves and our earthly home. I invite us to join our hearts and our minds together, to be one in community, to be as a family. We bring our joys and we bring our sorrows. We have questions. That's what families do. But we are better when we are together. And so we have the opportunity to share our joys and our sorrows. When you come up, I'm going to ask that you speak into the microphone so that JD can hear us. Don't randomly talk because he really is dependent in this setup on the microphone. After you share your joy or your sorrow, take a stone and put it in the water, and then we will respond to you. We hear you. We are with you. We are with you. We do hear you. We are with you. So who has a joy for today? Or a sorrow?
I'm Dan. I have a deep sorrow as we celebrate 1 year since the murder of Melissa and Mark Portman and the other injuries there. So it's the kind of thing that tore us apart and brought us together, but nonetheless, it's a terrible sorrow.
We are with you. And for JD, I'm just going to say that the names, the people that were lifted up were leaders. Melissa was a political leader in Minnesota. Her spouse, their dog, were murdered a year ago and had a great impact on all of us. Thank you.
Her name is known worldwide.
So you are aware of it. Thank you so very much for sharing that. It should be known worldwide. Other joys or sorrows for today? This is not like you. Come on.
I'll share something. I'm Liesel. This is just about me. I have had on my thumb for the last, since syrup season, this thing called a pyogenic granuloma. I get these weird things. Anyways, it took quite a while to get to a dermatologist, and it's gone now. It hurt when the Novocaine wore off, but yeah, it's getting better. So thank you.
We are with you. And we are glad that you're missing a part of yourself right now. Who else would like to come?
Well, I guess my name, this is Bruce, okay, and I have a joy. Probably a little silly even to bring it up after the solemnity of what Dan has brought to the table today. But earlier this week, I'm giving praise to the medical profession. It's been quite a year for me, but this year, this past week, I was bitten by a tick, and it turns out it was a deer tick, and the medical profession got me in right away, and I've been taking the medications, and I'm doing just great. But I was really nervous for a while, because as Leanne was removing the tick with the sterile tweezers, it was like, oh, what have I got now? Anyway, it's all good. I'm glad for the medical profession.
Oh my gosh. We are with you. Thank you for sharing that good news. Anyone else? Yeah. Come on up.
Hi, I'm Bob, and I don't usually get up here and say anything, but today I'd like to share a joy about my granddaughter. She's 16 years old, and she just got her driver's permit. She just finished school, not high school, but her year, and going into the next grade. And she's also working her first job. So I'm just so proud of her, and I just want to share it.
We are with you. Anyone else? Come on up, Jean.
Hi, Jean Adair. Well, I just felt like it should be mentioned, the sorrow of what is going to happen today in D.C. And I know, I guess on the good end, there is going to be a Rise Up, Sing Out presentation. I don't know if everybody knows about that, hopefully. So where a bunch of people are going to do singing and, speak out. And anyways, I just think we hope for rain. I'll end with that.
In D.C.
Hail, thunder, lightning.
So, but only in D.C.
Yeah.
Not in Chisago or
Certain
Polk counties. We don't want rain. Jean, you make me laugh because I had on Good Morning America this morning, and we are with you. Oh, sorry. I had on Good Morning America this morning, and the weather woman that was on said that there was a good chance of storms in D.C. today, and I went, yes. Yes. So I think many of us are in the same place. So thank you for lifting that up. We are with you. Anybody else today? Yes, Jean.
Hi, I'm Jean. I have a joy and a sorrow. I'll start with the sorrow because if any of you go to the Guthrie or Lyric Arts in the Twin Cities or Gail's Cultural Jambalaya event or anything, you might have heard of T. Michael Rambo, who is a Minneapolis entertainer. He's a singer, actor, a poet, a writer, a teacher. He just does everything. And he had a reconstructive back surgery a couple months back that really put him out of whack. I mean, he can't do anything. So that's the sorrow. But the joy is that Gail and I went to the Dakota on Thursday night for a benefit concert for him that was put on by Hands and Hearts for the Arts, which is all the local musicians in town come together and do this benefit concert that just blows your mind. It was so good. There were probably 12 singers that got up there and did like one song each, but it was so joyful and raised a lot of money for Michael's recovery.
We are with you. Thank you.
In our military, for, I don't know, past gazillion years, we've recognized all of the faiths, and chaplains are trained to deliver ministry no matter who shows up. Just recently, in the past week, the list of approved religions went from 200 to 35. Unitarians, surprisingly, are not on the list. So it really doesn't matter in practice. Those chaplains are going to be responding to everyone who comes, but symbolically, It means that you, if you're in the military, you will be recognized if you are Hindu, Muslim, and 75% of them are Christian religions. So it is a very direct reflection that we are being forced into Christian nationality, and it makes me really sad. It's a small thing, but it's symbolic, and there's so many symbols like that. So that's a sadness. Another symbol is that Trump's name is coming off at the Kennedy Center.
We are with you. Thank you. Behind, yes, it's covered. It's, yeah, behind the scaffolding. Anybody else today? Then let's take a moment for some silent reflection, thinking about what we've heard and what we haven't heard, and the joys that are within your heart and the sorrows that weigh you down. And at the close of a short amount of time, JD will offer a closing prayer, and then we will sing our response that we always sing that's printed in your order of service. Let us take a moment for silence. May it be so.
Spirit of unity, let us remain ever conscious of our deep interconnection, not only with the web of life on a lonely planet, but with all creation and throughout time. Keep us especially conscious of our oneness with our fellow humans. Life brings us triumphs and setbacks, all of us. So we ask for the compassion and grace to experience them together. The trauma of political violence, relief from successful medical interventions of all kinds, the joys of children's achievements, especially grandchildren, the confusion of disjointed cultural turns and hopes for inclement weather in specific places, the joys of community philanthropic efforts, dismay at marginalizing new policies, and relief at liberating court decisions. We know that what affects one affects all. In spirit of unity, we acknowledge this in beloved community, affirming the sacredness of each journey, because it is our journey too. Let us now affirm this with our breath in song.
I'll breathe in peace when I breathe out. I'll breathe out love when I breathe in. I'll breathe in peace when I breathe out. I'll breathe out love. Let's just remain seated but join together in singing We Would Be One. It's number 318 in the Gray Songbook. and I are going to read several short readings for you. But before we do that, I want to again welcome JD to Scoof, to Pepper's Lounge, to Wisconsin. When I asked him to send a short bio, these are the words that he shared, and so I want to just share them with you. A graduate of Cornell University, J.D. Stillwater is a science ambassador and author who writes and speaks about profound insights from natural reality, insights that drive paradigm shifts and cultural awakening. Excuse me. This work springs from J.D.'s love of science and his gift for making difficult concepts graspable for non-scientists. Thank you, J.D. J.D.'s an officer of the Religious Naturalist Association, a global community of people who take nature to heart. He serves on the governing council of the Institute on Religion in an Age of Science and is a fellow of Sinai and Synapses. J.D. is married since 1987, which I calculate is 1 year short of 40 years, and he has 2 grown children. So thank you again for coming all the way from Harrisburg to be with us this day. So we do have 3 readings, and we will alternate reading them. The first is by Aubrey Marcus. You are comprised of 84 minerals, 22 elements, and 8 gallons of water spread across 38 trillion cells. No wonder I'm tired all the time. You have been built up from nothing by the spare parts of the earth. You are recycled butterflies, plants, rocks, streams, firewood, wolf fur, and shark teeth, broken down to their smallest parts and rebuilt into our planet's most complex living thing. You are not living on Earth. You are Earth.
Our next reading comes from our Unitarian forebear, Ralph Waldo Emerson, who wrote, "Within us is the soul of the whole, the wise silence, the universal beauty to which every part and particle is equally related, the eternal one. When it breaks through our intellect, it is genius. When it breathes through our will, it is virtue. When it flows through our affections, it is love."
And the last reading is from Martin Luther King Jr., from his letter from the Birmingham jail. In a real sense, all life is interrelated. All men are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. I can never be what I ought to be until you are what you ought to be, and you can never be what you ought to be until I am what I ought to be. This is the interrelated structure of reality. Thank you, JD.
My wife, Ann, and I are low-budget travelers. And so a few years back, when our kids were small, we wanted to take them to visit Carlsbad Caverns as part of a cross-country adventure. Well, the only accommodations that were near the park were out of our price range. But we knew that it is legal to camp on any land that's owned by the Federal Bureau of Land Management. And our AAA map, remember those? Our map showed this huge expanse of desert right across the highway from the park, marked BLM. So it was perfect for us. So we drove out a kind of rugged dirt track and pitched our tents. All good. We made and ate supper, but before going to bed, I realized that I needed to use the restroom. Number two. Well, the closest restroom was over the horizon from where we camped. We are veteran campers enough to know that here in the eastern woodlands, it's proper to bury one's bodily waste at least 6 inches deep. But out there in the high desert, proper disposal involves leaving it to dry in the sun. So I strolled some distance away from our campsite before taking care of business, while enjoying the crystal clear desert star field above my head. And at this point, you may be thinking that this story involves a painful encounter with a cactus. But no, there were plenty of prickly plants around. But this story's magic begins the following morning. As we packed up in the bright morning sun, we saw something that you cannot see in Wisconsin or here where we live in Pennsylvania either. At different times, 4 large beetles came through our camping area, each one rolling a dusty little marble along the ground, following fairly straight trajectories. And those tracks exhibited a strange pattern. They seemed to radiate out from a single point some ways off. Guess what point? Well, we were mystified, so we followed their paths in reverse, encountering dozens of similar beetles racing out in all directions from the now completely bare spot where I had squatted the night before. How did they find it? Where were they going? It was astounding and also kind of unnerving, and obviously made a lasting impression on me. Well, I now know that dung beetles need those precious brown marbles to feed and nurture their own children. And they're in the desert, so often they only get one shot at it, if they get even one. Now, this happened long before I started thinking in earnest about science and spirituality, but it was an intimate and visceral lesson in the ways that I am connected to the world around me, especially the living world. Now, I hate to disappoint, but this is not a message about dung beetles. It is about the science of unity and oneness. And you might expect science to be a kind of a party pooper when it comes to unity and oneness, a sort of humbug know-it-all who ridicules all that kumbaya stuff in favor of cold, hard reality. Well, play along with me here, and let's just see what science has to say about unity and reality. Maybe we should start at the beginning of time. According to the best evidence science has to work with so far, our universe began as a singularity. What an interesting name, given my topic of oneness this morning. Well, there's a reason it's called that. The singularity at the beginning of time contained the entire universe, but compacted infinitely dense, so that all of it had no volume, no size at all. Everything was one thing, infinitely small and infinitely dense. The Reverend Carol Martignaccio calls it the everything seed, the seed that grew into everything. Now, nobody knows what happened before the beginning of time, but all the evidence we have now says that at the beginning of time, that tiny speck rapidly expanded or inflated, creating space and time as it did. Everything in the universe, from this morning's service to interstellar dust in the most distant galaxies, it's all traceable back to that one single thing at the beginning of time. Everything that's an object, as well as all the things that are energies or events or that are still mysterious, like dark matter, they all have a common origin, a shared genesis in the Big Bang singularity. We know that in the first moments that the universe existed, particles that would later form atoms of hydrogen and helium condensed out of nothing more substantial than very bright light. And we know that gravity later gathered those first atoms into the first generation of stars. Some of those first stars eventually went supernova, creating all the other elements we find in the universe today through nuclear fusion. but then exploding them out into interstellar space as hot dust, precious hot dust, I would say. Dust that gravity would slowly gather into solar systems, but now with planets around them like the Earth. I know that was a very fast trip through nearly 14 billion years of history. Hold on, I lost my place here. Here we go. My point is that the seeds of you and me were present there at the dawn of time, and we are descended from stars just like those we see in the night sky. Stars are in our family. We're not only connected to events in the early universe, we are those events still occurring, still unfolding. We are still one thing. With all our diversity, with all the different stars and galaxies and planets and living things on Earth, there's arguably only one event happening here. Okay, got it. Common origins, common genesis. What about now? Sorry, I got ahead of myself on the slides. What can science say about oneness here this morning in our daily lives? Well, take a minute and think of someone who lived more than about 100 years ago. It could be anyone from history. I'll give you a second to bring someone to mind. And now take a deep breath with me. You just breathed in over 13 sextillion air molecules. But here's the thing. Over 700 million of those molecules were also at some point inside the lungs of the person that you were thinking of. Same is true of everyone who ever lived. That same breath you just took included some air molecules from every animal that ever lived, every plant that ever lived. In a way, they are all right here in the atmosphere of these rooms with us. So, knowing all that, take another breath. Does it feel different? Some of the oxygen molecules you breathed in a moment ago now are you, part of your body, alive by being part of you. Air and water molecules are so small and so numerous, and they cycle around the earth so constantly that every cup of beverage you swallow contains over 150 million water molecules that actually passed through Jesus's body during his lifetime. Talk about holy water, right? The same cup contains even more water molecules that passed through Buddha's body just because he lived longer. Every cup of water contains molecules that made up everyone that ever lived more than a few decades ago. All water is holy water. And like oxygen, water comes alive when we drink it. So we are part of these interconnected natural cycles that kids study in science class, like the water cycle, the carbon cycle, the nitrogen and phosphorus cycles, and so on. And we study and teach them like they're out there somewhere, but they're also right here. We are in those cycles and they operate in us. Every year, about 98% of the atoms in your body get exchanged for new ones. 98%. So a human body is like a standing wave on a river. Matter moves through us, becomes us for a moment, and then moves on to become something else. Our bodies aren't really things. Our bodies are flows, or maybe more accurately, our bodies are complex patterns in the flow of matter around the earth. And that flow is completely interconnected with the rest of the earth as a whole, because the atmosphere, the hydrosphere, and the lithosphere, these are all interconnected systems. Rocks dissolve in water and become ocean, then get incorporated into seashells, and then bird bones or rocks again. River becomes ocean, then cloud, then apple, then human, then air, all at once, up and down, across and around, with interconnections and shortcuts everywhere. Here on Earth, all boundaries and distinctions are either arbitrary or temporary. We are Earth. Some days I feel like I must have been abandoned here by aliens, especially the last year or two. But even if I were, within a year or two, my body would be almost entirely made up of the water, air, and minerals of Earth. I am Earth. We are Earth. And I'm sorry to report that it's not only inanimate matter that cycles through us, because other living things flow through us too. And they become us temporarily as they go through. Mostly I'm talking about bacteria here, although there are also fungi, viruses, and insects too that make up our bodies. On and inside us, bacterial cells actually outnumber the human cells. There are thousands of species, trillions of bacterial cells, all cooperating and competing with each other and with us, with our human cells all the time. They digest our food, they protect our inner and outer linings. And recently, microbiologists have found that the species living on and in us influence when we're hungry and thirsty, our food preferences, our weight, and even our emotions. So, is it me who loves cheesecake or we? And the human cells in our bodies each contain dozens of mitochondria, sometimes called the powerhouse of the cell. Excuse me. These mitochondria turn sugars back into energy so that we can do things. Well, we now know that these mitochondria are actually the descendants of ancient bacteria, still operating cooperatively inside our much larger human cells. Mitochondria have their own DNA, separate from the human DNA in our chromosomes. You got all your mitochondria from your mother, and she got them from her mother, and so on, because they're inherited matrilineally. Paleogeneticists have been able to use the well-established mutation rate of mitochondrial DNA to determine that every human being alive today is a descendant of one woman who lived in Eastern Africa about 200,000 years ago. And this is National Geographic's map of how we migrated to every other continent since then. Every human being alive today, regardless of race, gender, or ethnicity, has the same great-great-great-grandmother that you do. So look around at the people in this room. These are your cousins. There's only one family of people on this planet. Similar genetic analyses and lots of other evidence from many angles of inquiry tells us that every living thing on the planet is a blood relative of ours, even the ones with nothing like blood in their bodies. They are our cousins too. All living things on this planet are related. We are part of a single unbroken family tree stretching back 3.5 billion years. Environmental researcher Dr. Daniel Wildcat says, we live among relatives, not resources. We live among relatives, not resources. There are many more examples of our connection and unity from science. But the bottom line here is that we cannot separate ourselves from the earth. We are the earth. The earth is giving the message this morning, and the earth is sitting in those earthen chairs listening. We and it are us, one thing. So there's only one story, 14 billion years long, and the characters in the story are completely interconnected on every level of existence. But what about the setting? What about space and time? Well, as you probably know, about a century ago, a great mystic and spiritual teacher, this guy, showed us that space and time are actually unitive. They appear different to us, but they're actually a single expression of reality called space-time. And now, a century later, one of the hot concepts in particle physics is non-locality. So we think of space-time as having a framework or a fabric. Even if it bends and curves, there's predictability to it. Things can be located, and two different locations are different, right? There's space between them, and that space is real. The separation is real, we think. Well, quantum entanglement calls all of that into question, and evidence is piling up that space-time might be non-local, meaning that maybe location has no meaning. I'm not going to try to explain quantum entanglement this morning. You're welcome. Except I want to say that two particles that are entangled seem to communicate with one another over long distances instantaneously, faster than light. Another way to think of it is that entangled particles become a single object that can somehow be in two places at the same time. And this picture is just for fun. There was a paper published a few years ago in Physical Review Letters. It's a journal, pretty common journal, with the title, How Space-Time is Built by Quantum Entanglement. Entanglement giving rise to space-time rather than happening in space-time. Science writer George Musser was quoted in Scientific American saying, quote, multiple branches of physics now suggest that at a deeper level, there may be no such thing as place and no such thing as distance, end quote. Well, non-locality suggests that there's only one place here, one location, even after billions of years of cosmic expansion, as though we are still in a singularity, but somehow diversified. What science says about unity and oneness is that your life story and my life story and those of dung beetles and germs and worms and rocks and flocks of geese and the moons and the Pleiades and distant galaxies' life stories are all the same story, because there's only one story and there's only one character in the story. We, us, the universe. And I say this not as a prophet or a mystic, but as a hardcore show me the evidence ambassador for mainstream science. And you know, the name we give this universal body of ours offers a clue. One turning, one single event, one song. 750 years ago, the mystic and poet Rumi wrote, "You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop." And more recently, Alan Watts put it this way. He said, getting ahead of myself. He said, "You didn't come into this world, you came out of it like a wave from the ocean." All right, so what do we do with this knowledge? How should we interpret this deep interconnectedness so that it makes a difference in our daily lives? Well, I think I can start with awareness. When I drink, I can think about how this cup of coffee or juice or whatever contains molecular emissaries from every ocean and from all our ancestors, from every creature that ever lived. When I look up at the night sky, I can see ancient ancestors and life givers twinkling there and give thanks. When I see a dung beetle cleaning up a mess, I can say, "Hey there, cousin, congratulations on finding a nice nursery, and thanks for your work." As I walk in the woods, I can see relatives rather than resources. I can greet new people like long-lost cousins I'm meeting for the first time. Speaking of relatives and resources, that exact spot where we camped all those years ago now looks like this. You may know what those things are, but if not, I'm going to zoom in for you. Yeah, those are well pads for oil and gas wells. So for better or worse, that whole area is now industrialized. Once aware, we can accept that everything we do affects everything else, no exceptions. We can sit with that for a while, letting both the power and the responsibility of it settle in our hearts and our minds. We can affirm, I matter. As long as I'm alive, All those interconnected threads run through me too. Jane Goodall famously said, "You cannot get through a single day without having an impact on the world around you. What you do makes a difference, and you have to decide what kind of difference you want to make." And it's also true that the seventh generation of our grandchildren are part of the interconnected web too. It's a web of oneness that unites all space and time into a single song. This moment in this service this morning is that song still being written, and each of us has a part to sing. What else can I do but resolve to treat everyone and everything I encounter as an essential expression of my largest self? Because it is. May it be so, and amen.
I'm not sure you could hear that, JD, nor see it, but great applause in this room. Thank you so very much for being with us. You know, I thought about the one phrase that he said. I thought about a lot, but being a Sunday services team person, I thought about all water is holy water. And it led me to Marty, because at our team meeting this past week, by her guidance, we decided that when we gather for our August services outdoors, our theme is going to be around water. All water is holy water. Thank you so very much. Thank you. Oh, let's see. Oh, offering. Time for the offering. So I was sent, I hope I have it, words to share with you. Oh, no. Here it is. Oh, yay. About the offering. Each time that we gather, we extend a moment of generosity. The gifts you make through your annual pledge or our weekly offering are a tangible commitment to the mission, health, and values of this fellowship. In addition, half of the dollars collected on Sunday are shared with a community recipient. For the month of June, the Social Action Team has selected Our Justice Minnesota, an abortion fund based in the Twin Cities metro that provides support and care to folks traveling to Minnesota for abortions from across the Midwest and beyond. SCOOF member Dolores Oman, some of you remember her when we all called her lovingly Laney, is on this organization's finance team. There's more about Our Justice Minnesota on the back of your order of service. So I'm going to invite, I'm not sure. Okay, come on up, Dina and Gary maybe. I really don't know who's in charge of offering, but baskets. Oh, hiding behind me. I'm going to invite them to pass the baskets. We gratefully accept these and all contributions. Can you play something short? Thank you. Gary, would you come up and extinguish the chalice as we all read the words that are printed in the order of service? As we leave this gathering and go back to our lives on this blue boat home, let us remember to think when we drink and breathe deeply the rich and ever restless air of the living earth, our home, our vessel, and our larger body, of which we are a small but grateful part. So, announcements. There are multiple announcements, coming up things on the back of your order of service. There's one that is not on there that I did want to make sure you're aware of, and one that ties with it, and that is that next Sunday, Seth Anderson-Motz, who was with us back in December, will be here and leading a Father's Day service. But that will be our last service until we gather in August, because we always take the month of July as a Sabbath month, a time for just personal renewal. And so next Sunday will be your last Sunday together. And Liesl, I know you want to make an announcement about August, so here you go. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I also wanted to mention that the steering committee on Tuesday is canceled.
Oh.
So the steering committee meeting that we were going to have. Yeah. Okay. August 2nd, we will be meeting at the Beach Park in Lindstrom and having a potluck after service. So you have a long time to think about what you want to make.
But make it something I like, you know, so there you go.
We will provide some drinks, water and juice or lemonade, but yeah, we had one last year and it worked.
Nope, we're going to have plates.
We'll figure out the cutlery.
We
and
just
all
need
that.
your food, Jean, just your food.
Best food.
Sharon Day.
Does everybody know where the beach park in Lindstrom is? No?
It's on the far west side, and we'll get that information
Yeah, we'll
out
get
in
that.
print for you.
It's
They have
behind the old Dinner Bell restaurant.
Yeah, Dinner Bell.
If
Oh my gosh.
everybody knows that
Yeah.
one.
It's right off of Highway 8.
you
Don't worry,
remember it.
Dina, we'll get the directions
Yeah,
out
we'll
to you,
get, but
step
it's
by
easy to
step.
find.
Yeah, thank you. And it's the membership committee that is hosting the potluck, and
Yeah, that's
Liesel's a
right.
co-chair of our membership committee, so thank you. We have met there many years. We usually go there in September. This year, we're there on the first Sunday of August and on Labor Day weekend in September. So we're going to be there twice, kind of like bookends to our summer service. And I heard you saying something about August 2nd.
So excited to let you know that Sharon Day, who is the executive director of the Indigenous Peoples Task Force, and many of us know her as the elder and leader of Nibby Walks, which are prayers, literally prayers for the water. She has spoken to us before just once, and she has a new practice about integrating water into your daily life. So it's a perfect kickoff to our whole series on water in August.
Thank you. Thank you. Are there other announcements to share? Come up and use the microphone.
I just want to tell everybody about the Queer Crawl. It is an organizational thing by Bridget Pharisee, who started this. And these buttons, the auditorium is one of the sponsors, but these buttons are all over town from here to Stillwater, and they're basically a way to support the businesses that support us and support our belief system. And if you get a button, put it on, not only do you get to show your belief, but you also get a discount at many places. So there's, I think, 5 places downtown, maybe more, and like we offered a buy one, get one concert thing for next weekend. But it's all listed on this website, and you just go in and see all the businesses that are offering deals or ones that you want to support. So everybody grab a button, and they're free. It's just a way to show awareness and to find out where all the cool people are.
Right here we are. Thank you, Marissa. Anybody else have announcements to share? We got one. Oh, JD, I wasn't even looking at the screen. Thank you.
Shameless Commerce Division. If any of you are registered for General Assembly, which is happening this weekend and next weekend, look for there's a live webinar and a recorded video about using multimedia in worship that I'm presenting live on Tuesday. I think it's Tuesday evening at 7:30. And the video is available anytime. But for now, you have to be registered for GA to see them. After Labor Day, I can make them public.
Okay, thank you so very much. And that reminds me, JD had said to me, if his message this morning just stirred you and you wanted to have any other conversation, that he is going to hang around for a short while, and would be really glad to talk to you one-on-one, but you can't just talk to him through this screen because it won't work. You have to go back to where Eric is seated at the end of the counter and talk into his computer, because that's actually the source of what's on the screen. Eric? Oh, that's better. Okay, so just come here. Everybody will hear you, but I was trying to keep it one-on-one, but you can talk to JD afterwards. So, and there's coffee and water also this morning. So with that, we are going to stand finally and sing Blue Boat Home, which is in the Teal songbook, and it's number 1064, Blue Boat Home. It was written by Peter Mayer, a favorite of all you use. And you picked up 2 songbooks. Going to ask you if you'll take them back to the cart, and then we don't need a volunteer to do that. Go in peace, live in love, be strengthened by the spirit of hope and goodwill, remembering we are all one. Thank you. Oh, and thank you for stepping up. There you go. It was. Again, if anybody wants to chat with JD, the mic is yours, and he's right here with the camera back there, so feel free.
Is this working? I have, JD, I have a question about energy and the unification of energy. What do you think?
What do you mean when you say energy? Are you referring to the physics definition of it? Yeah, well, that's one of the things that led us to the cosmology we have now, is Einstein pointing out that energy and matter can go back and forth between one another. That's how nuclear power works. It's how all stars work. Mostly in stars and in bombs and nuclear power, turning mass back into energy. But in the beginning, in the very beginning of time, all the mass that's in the universe now condensed out of energy. So, you know, in the Abrahamic religious tradition scriptures, the first thing that happened was let there be light. And the universe did indeed begin with light. So make of that what you want. But there's one place where there's a tie-in that's more than metaphorical.
Thank you. Whoops. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for your talk.
You're welcome.
But if you heard
Microphones
that
do
loud
work
noise, JD, we
with
just dropped the
gravity.
mic, so
It's okay.
that was. Anybody else want to talk? All right, you're going to
Yeah, I
talk,
want to. Are you kidding?
I know you would. I knew you would want to talk to him.
Hi, I happen to be a physics guy from University of Wisconsin. So, and my favorite physicist of all time was a Cornell undergrad, and you probably know him as Richard Feynman.
Sure.
Anyway, thank you for this. I often don't get a chance to talk to people about those kinds of things and the relationship of matter and energy and so on and so forth. I do have a couple of observations though. One of which, of course, is the whole concept of time and matter, which has been bothering me for a long time. Not so much from the whole singularity issue and all of those things, but my biggest problem with all of the things that we are discovering and understanding is the big question of why. Why this and nothing? Why this and not nothing? What's driving all this, and why? That's still an issue. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Why questions are always religious in nature, I think. That's my perspective. And the cool thing about science is that being global and being literally an interfaith endeavor. I mean, faith doesn't come into it, but it is practiced by people from every faith tradition around the planet. So I'm stretching things a little bit, but I like to say that science is an interfaith endeavor. It's certainly an interfaith community. And the cool thing is that we get to do our own interpretation from what science reveals. And each person's going to interpret it a little differently, just like any other source of knowledge. So for myself personally, I prefer to let the why questions be questions. You know, one of the things people say about UUs is that We prefer questions over answers. And I am in, I'm trying to model my life that way. I think it's part of human nature. I think the reason we have religions is because it's part of human nature to seek answers, even when we don't have enough data, even when we don't have a good reason to reach a conclusion. We still tend to do it. We tend to jump to conclusions. And I see emerging all around the world now a movement, I guess you can call it a movement, towards resisting that urge that's built into human nature to jump to conclusions and experience the ambiguity itself as a source of spiritual inspiration.
Yeah, I tend to agree with the same thing. By the way, I often say that we try to tell people that the study of physics is really the study of being able to make pictures for things we don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
Very much like religion. We create stories and we create visions of things that we can't explain in any other way. Back when I was an undergrad, longer ago than I'd rather not admit, I remember having a long, horribly angry discussion with my physics professor on whether or not electrons actually existed. I still don't think they do, but they do make a really nice picture, don't they?
Yeah, I know that the Waldorf education community approaches science phenomenologically. Phenomenology is, I guess, a branch of philosophy that says what you just said. We should not conflate our models with the reality that they're metaphors for.
Right.
Hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep in mind.
Yeah, and I always try to remind people also that all of these great things that we have here, the microphone I'm holding, this thing I got on my head, the thing that you're working on, is humans all pushing dirt around in different ways.
Yep.
And that's all it really is. Thank you again for doing this. I don't often
You're
get a chance
welcome.
to talk to people who have had the same thoughts that I struggle with day in and day out. Thank you very much.
Well, invite me back anytime Reverend Berner's not speaking. I have a lot of services ready to go.
Oh, wow, what a deal. We will welcome you back.
Where is he? Seriously, I got your email with all of those dates on it, and they're coming to our next Sunday services team meeting. So there's a good chance of that happening. Thank you.
So my son has been an avowed atheist. Just at best, he can call himself an agnostic. And he got into all of this stuff actually on Wikipedia. And he said he's discovered God through Wikipedia because he went step by step by step through all of this, the science of being one, and came to the conclusion that is God. We are all God. And I just think it was, I love that he found this all through the internet and Wikipedia and his own research. So thank you so much. I'm hoping he'll look at your recording because it was really brilliant and so nicely done.
There's that, and also if he wants to just explore, recommend that he check out religious naturalism. If he still thinks of himself as grounded in reality, physical reality, but also experiencing from that some religious sensibilities, he may be a religious naturalist. And I'm a leader in the Religious Naturalist Association, and your son would absolutely, everyone is welcome to join us if they want to.
Of course. Thank you for that. I think he's beyond that. I think he's really
Okay.
into not beyond religious naturalism, but just into the whole loving the experience of knowing about this interconnectedness. So
Okay. Cool.
so thank you. And I loved everything about your presentation. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for mentioning the religious naturalist. I was curious in what organizations you were involved with that were mentioned earlier. Has anything changed in that group after the quantum computer multiverse theory that in order for a quantum computer to operate and do all those operations, that it has to work across multi-universes? Does that come up at all?
It comes up in discussions in a lot of places. Eric maybe can speak to this as well, but my understanding is that the whole multiverse idea comes out of string theory. String theory is a highly promising, but also highly theoretical approach. And it's not one approach, it's 27, or I mean, there are many, many different versions of string theory. Some of them posit multiple universes. But many, many physicists are still very skeptical of that as an idea. And most notably, there's no tangible evidence for it yet. It's a beautiful theory, even in its many parts, but there's nothing to confirm it at this point. So yeah, it could be. It could be that new every time any particle collapses into a position, new universes are being spawned. But boy, that's hard to
What's a quantum event? Yeah, I guess
right.
that's a big thing. Yeah. Anyway, thank you. And I was just, and I'll look up the religious naturalism and follow that a bit and see. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Again, thank you. And by the way, I am a skeptic of string theory today. Next week, I might not be. And then 2 weeks from now, I might not be again. It really boils down to the whole concept of what we have as a picture of matter and what we have as a picture of energy, and the interchangeability and our nice lines we put there. It really stems, like I said, from my whole arguments of whether or not electrons even exist. And then, of course, the makeups of all of those as well. So, again,
Well, I
thank you
think
very much.
I'm not a physicist myself, but I think key to that whole puzzle is not thinking of things as things. I think we need a more processual worldview about the universe rather than a universe of things that interact with one another.
Well, years ago, I was on the board of a bunch of scientists at Argonne Labs in Chicago. And long before we had the World Wide Web, we had this thing called Ask a Scientist, and I was one of the boards. And one of the things, we used to get two big questions all the time. And this was a setup where it was called the Newton BBS, if you remember that. We had a number of us who would answer questions for high schoolers, college kids, that they couldn't get any other way. And of course, most of them were, why is the sky blue? If I saw that question one more time, I think I'm going to throw up. But it was also about the time that kids started talking about the dual nature of light and trying to understand that. And that was more instructive for us as we met each week to decide which questions we were going to try to answer than it was for the kids that we were giving answers to. Yeah. Amazingly enough, we're still struggling with it, right? How do you explain the dual nature of light and still maintain the whole concept of particle and wave theory? It just doesn't work. You have to think in beyond those terms.
Yeah.
So
we'll get there, but I think it's going to take a creative mind like Einstein's, somebody that maybe isn't all that well trained in physics, but is able to think outside the boxes that we've established for ourselves.
Well, and the many path theories that Feynman came up with as well made a whole, threw everything up on an uproar, and rightfully so. And how many people can grasp the new math he had to come up with just to try to explain some of the things that moved beyond the particle wave, nice little things that we talked about. I mean, what's his name? Niels Bohr, when he won the Nobel Peace Prize, his acceptance speech was, you know that stuff I won the Nobel Prize for? It was all wrong. I loved that. That was fantastic. So, again, this is great. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. And by the way, if you ever get to Wisconsin, you'll have to come up and see us. We got a pretty good group of engineers. We call ourselves Badger Works up by us. So,
well, my spouse and I are planning a trip for sometime about a year from now, but we were going to do it in June, a trip west to the West Coast along the northern route. We did the southern route this past winter, but we're not doing that in the wintertime. We're not doing the northern route in the wintertime. But we are going to try to do it next summer. But then our son planned a wedding for late June. So now we're looking at maybe August, September. So I'll be in touch with Carolyn and see what we can do.
You'll have to hit the 2 days of summer we have here.
Right.
So good. I'm glad that I actually got a chance to listen to this one, because usually I'm doing sound. I don't get much chance to do any of that. But this was very engaging. Thank you very much.
Hey, quick question. Do you know how many people were there this morning?
I didn't watch, probably 35, 40, and then there was some online. So
I got the online ones. Although, do you rebroadcast through YouTube?
We don't yet.
Okay.
We're talking about doing that. We've got some things we've got to deal with later. But yeah, we're still working on. Part of the problem here is that we got to set up and take down every week.
Yeah, that's got to get old.
Well, of course we can't run wires either. So everything now has gone completely wireless. We're running FM from the mixer to a Focusrite, off a 2-digit high frequency, 575, 580 megahertz. And then I'm also running now HDMI wireless, which makes it a lot easier. But it still takes some doing to get all the pieces running.
Yeah.
So, and then you got to take it down.
Yeah.
So. No,
Beautiful space, though.
It is pretty. So,
thank you, Jim.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
People on Zoom, if you want to talk to me.
Is it too late to ask a question?
Not at all. Go ahead.
I just wanted to point out really quickly that the multiverse is probably mathematical maintenance. But what's been really buried, and I'm sure you're aware of this, is that most of our scientific minds that we have so much reverence for, we're all spiritual, very deeply spiritual people.
Yeah.
And what is occurring to me lately is that our one human species, our keystone human species moving forward, the tipping point's not going to be numbers of people. The tipping point's going to be depth. Depth of interbeing, depth of experience. And that's why what you say makes what we do matters, and how we interact matters.
Yeah.
We're not helpless.
Yeah. Yeah, I waffle back and forth sometimes daily between optimism and pessimism about the future of humanity. I don't think we're all going to go extinct, but things are not looking good for the middle class American lifestyle.
It's touch and go, and probably the planet can handle 1 billion people, and we have 8. Something's going to give, but I do believe, to use Ralph Waldo Emerson's term, oversoul, that the oversoul of humanity would like us to continue, but that doesn't translate necessarily. We have a journey ahead of us.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
Thank you very much. This was well done.
You're welcome, Jim.
I'm gonna say goodbye now.
All right.